3, 2, 1.
God is upset. In this day, he's upset. There's too much going on that does not represent him, that calls itself him, but doesn't represent him. There's an underlying current in the earth right now. In our so-called American culture, in our African American communities, there is something going on. Please don't sleep anymore. After this message, and I'm saying this in the beginning of it, go home, and I want you to get on your computers, the internet, and I want you to go to Google, which is a search engine. Those of you that don't know how to do it, just go get your kids. Early as 3, 4, they're at the hell. They pass that stuff around school like drugs now, that information. Google, and I want you to research what you hear tonight. I want you to look. I want you to search, and I want you to get as wise and as smart as you can. Because right now, the difference between what's real and what's fake, unless you have divine revelation of God, you might get fooled. That's the time we're in, y'all.
Whoa, wait.
First rule of battle strategy. Don't ever let your opponent distract you.
Watch out for attacks from the devil, your great enemy. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for some victim to devour, so that Satan will not outsmart us. We are very familiar with his evil schemes.
Unfortunately, sex is suppressed. Sorry, your day is over.
We are here to tell you that it is you who should now be afraid of us.
You died for nothing.
My advice is to sleep with as many people as possible.
God, let me give you a little inside information about God.
Jesus! I'll say it again! Jesus!
He's a sadist! Worship that? Never!
Teach me, O Lord, to follow every one of your principles. Give me understanding, and I will obey your law. I will put it into practice with all my heart.
And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? They could ask him a lot of questions. You go right there. He said, who told you were naked? You ate the tree, didn't you? Look at what he says. And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I did eat. The woman you gave me, if I wouldn't have eaten the tree if you hadn't gave me this woman. See, you're to blame. Why'd you give me this woman? Why'd you open up my rib cage and take her out of me? I was doing all right by myself. Just like that no-good joker used to know in the world that was irresponsible when it wouldn't put his cards on the table, always trying to escape responsibility. He became like this when he failed. He won't be responsible because of the spirit that just came in him. More subtle than any creature of the field. And the Lord God said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. It wasn't on me. It was that. Who made the snake? Who put the snake out here? Wasn't that you, Lord? I didn't make the snake. I don't even know how the snake got out here. If you hadn't made the snake, we still be out here fresh. But see, God, at the final stand, at the final analysis of everything, God is responsible for this. But that has to eliminate free will. You got no will then, right? He could have made them robots, but he don't make robots. As a matter of fact, him putting them in the flesh was a safety valve to protect them because he knew they were going to fall. He knew if they had to be spiritual beings, he would have to damn them with no mercy. So him encapsulating them in flesh was a safety valve to be able to redeem them. That's the mercy of God. Because to be a righteous creator, he has to make you with a free will. If he made you a slave or an automaton, he wouldn't be a righteous creator because he'd be a controller and a dominator. The day he controls somebody's will is the day that Satan becomes God's God, because he would express a character trait of Satan. So he must not express any of the characteristics of the devil so as not to subject himself to the devil.
For you said to yourself, I will ascend to heaven and set my throne above God's stars. I will preside on the mountain of the gods far away in the north. I will climb to the highest heavens and be like the Most High.
That was his power. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
He is a minor angel with a particular task.
It's very, very important that the Satan figure in the Old Testament is not the same as the devil. In that way, it is not the sort of the face of evil. Satan is a prosecutor in God's holy court. He's absolutely not God.
In the garden, Genesis 3 and 14 says, "And the Lord God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this," and y'all know what he did, right? "Thou art cursed above all cattle." So he curses the devil. "And above every beast of the field, upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life." We know that he's not speaking literally of eating dust. He's speaking of you being low to the dust. Okay? "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman." Now this is where it starts, right here with the woman. "And between thy seed and her seed," which of course her seed is who? Jesus Christ. And then Jesus is going to bust your head up. "Unto the woman," he said, "I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to who? Your desire is going to be to your husband. So anytime your desire is not for your husband, it's not God. And then he says, "And he shall" what? "Rule over thee." Anytime your husband isn't ruling over you, it's the devil. No, see this word, don't be afraid of this word rule. This word got perverted when the children of Israel desired a king over them. So there wasn't no slavery when God used this word. So it can't mean enslavement. So when he says rule over you, he's not talking about ruling over you like a slave. Amen. Any man that's watching everything you do and telling you stop doing this, don't do that, do that, then something's wrong with him. Okay, that's an internal problem that he needs to deal with, because that is not what the scripture is saying here. Amen. Amen. You're a help meet. You're supposed to help him. Okay? Now you help him make it. Hopefully he knows how to make good decisions and that kind of stuff, but he's not supposed to rule over you where he just steals your identity. That's right. If he steals your identity and all that, that's a tyrant. Wash my car. Get my clothes. Shine my shoes. That's some foolishness. That doesn't make me feel good to rule over her with an iron fist. And what would y'all think about it? But this is God setting the order. Why did God even say this? Because when God originally created the woman, he put this in her. But the devil came and took it out. That's why he had to say it. He had to reinstate order. Because when the woman took the fruit and ate first, she got knowledge, so that put her, in charge. She got the knowledge and then handed the apple and ran things. Now you eat it. I'm enlightened. Now you get some. The order was perverted. This is not a part of the punishment. He's just setting things back the way they were. And unto Adam he said, and Adam really gets it, he said, because thou hast sat there and let your woman talk to a snake, cursed is the ground for thy sake. In other words, food was just falling in your lap. Not going to do that anymore. In sorrow, you're going to have to eat. You got to work to get the food. You got to get the food out of the ground. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shall thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. Now this is a part of it. Return unto the ground. Man wasn't going to return unto the ground originally. Now, since you've done this, you're going to have to return to the ground, for out of it was thou taken. For dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. In other words, you're going to die, you're going to perish. Just like I said, the day you eat of it, you will surely what? You're going to die. So now you got to go back into the ground. In the garden, man fell because of man's desire to be as gods. This is a constant fight in our lives today as well. Men trying to be like gods, okay? Women trying to rule over men. This is the problem. How many of you would say that's a problem? That's a problem. And it stems from the way you were raised and what you saw in your household. There's a competitive nature, especially whenever there was some kind of abuse, some kind of neglect, something that went on in your childhood that caused you to live in some kind of deficit. You'll spend the rest of your life trying to prove to yourself and others that you're better than the deficit you were raised in. That causes you to mistreat people. That causes you to, as a woman, want to overthrow men. That causes you, as a man, to want to dominate or rule over women.
We find the account of this attempt to disrupt the human genetic code in Genesis 6. It reads, quote, "When man began to multiply on the face of the land and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown." End quote. The sons of God mentioned here in the Hebrew is pronounced B'nai Ha-Elohim. The Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the original Hebrew text, translates it as angels of God. They are clearly describing fallen angels.
What the passage portrays, and it's very difficult for many people to absorb this, it portrays fallen angels. These are not the good guys. Remember when Satan fell, a third of the angels fell with him. Not all of them, but a group of them, apparently, and we'll talk more about this in a minute, chose to try to create a hybrid race. See, angels can't multiply. Angels are eternal. Reproduction is a process for mortals. But at the same time, Satan's got a problem. A third of the angels fell with him, so he's got a deficiency of 2 to 1 in any war that comes, right? He's got to find a way to strengthen himself. Now, the offspring of Nephilim, they're also called the Hagibarim, the mighty ones. And now, where the confusion starts to set in is when this Hebrew passage was translated into the Greek in the Septuagint. The word they used for the Nephilim was gigantes. It sounds like giants, and it turns out they were giants, but that's not what the word means. Gigantes comes from gigas, which means earthborn. So in the Hebrew, they're called the fallen ones. In the Greek, they're called the earthborn. The purpose of the flood was not just that there was sin in the land. There was, that's emphasized. But if sin brings the flood, we better get some life jackets. No, there's something far deeper going on. That's what I want to sensitize you for when you do your own study and come to your own conclusions. But I want you to recognize there's something much more profound that God, as a problem that God was solving, and that is that Satan's strategy was to contaminate the human race.
Lets us know once the flood starts, angels were locked away till judgment. According to the passage in Jude, it tells us that the angels that left their first estate that came down, God locked them away and reserved them unto judgment. Then, of course, the daughters of Adam that drowned, we know they go to hell. But there is a question that we must ask ourselves. Where did the Nephilim spirits go? What are the Nephilim spirits? Well, you had this hybrid, this angel mixed with this human, creating a hybrid entity. When you kill that body, where does that spirit go? It's of both worlds. Where does it go? Half angel, half human. Isaiah 26 tells us that they can't be resurrected, so we know that these beings during the flood, the beings drowned, but the spirits, where did they go? You ever been casting out a demon? Sometimes demons will address themselves as the old ones. These are beings from back that used to have supreme bodies and ruled as rulers because of their height, because of the information, because of their knowledge. They were rulers on earth in their eyes. God washed them all away, but their spirits had nowhere to go. Are y'all still with me? They're what we know today as demons, and these demons are constantly trying to recreate a situation where they can get worship and be a superior being again. I'm not going to destroy mankind this time with a flood. He promised he wouldn't do that. This time, I'm going to create a people that will take my godly legacy on and judge this wickedness. What did he do? He created, look at somebody and say, Israel. He created Israel through Abraham's seed. He created a people that would honor him. He gave them laws and rules and told them, don't be like these worldly folk. Don't be like the Babylon and Nimrod. No, you worship me. I'm your only God. He gave them rules through Moses. Don't you understand? Abraham constantly fought giants, hybrids. It's like a sci-fi story. Moses, the Amalekites were giants. They're constantly going in and judging these wicked people and these wicked races, fighting to the finish. But they were God's people and they were holy. They were set apart. And the seed of Abraham was called to fight. Are y'all still with me? I hope y'all are getting a picture here. And then eventually, you know, as they begin to fight, the inevitable begins to happen. One day they're fighting and start losing. Been winning ever since. Don't even know what it feels like to lose. Start losing. And Joshua says, hey, God, we losing. We're your chosen people. We're supposed to be winning. God says, something is wrong. You have sin in your camp. Now listen, please. There's no way you're going to fight evil with evil. You are set apart, called out, peculiar people carrying the bloodline that will produce the seed of the woman. You can't do what the world is doing and win. So Joshua, they go looking in the tents and they found Achan, found junk in his tent, went and got all the junk out, burned him up, killed him, his family, everything, destroyed it all and said, okay, God, we're holy again. Start winning the battles again. This is the real battle of good and evil.
When an evil spirit leaves a person, it goes into the desert searching for rest. But when it finds none, it says, I will return to the person I came from. So it returns and finds that its former home is all swept and clean. Then the spirit finds 7 other spirits more evil than itself. They all enter the person and live there. And so that person is worse off than before.
You right? Luke, why do you want a war of the gods? Control. They've been in power for too long. I say it's time for our generation to take over. Remold the world in our image. A world of new heroes. You're no hero.
Probably the most important figures in sorcery and witchcraft, false god worship. Nimrod, Osiris, Jupiter, all the major false gods are represented by this one God. Well, it's very important for you to understand that all the Egyptian religions, all of the mythology, all of the astrology, everything points to Nimrod being the incarnation of a god. What did Nimrod do? Nimrod built the Tower of Babel, or had it built under his rule. Are y'all with me? Why were they building the Tower of Babel? Because they believed that Nimrod belonged in heaven. So they were building a tower to get Nimrod up a porthole into heaven. How are they doing that? Because they were using the knowledge of enlightened beings and the spirits of the drowned Nephilim. See, the spirits stayed here, and they are what we know today as demons.
And all nations and tongues heard of his fame, and they gathered themselves to him, and they bowed down to the earth, and they brought him offerings, and he became their lord and king. And they all dwelt with him in the city at Shinar. And Nimrod reigned in the earth over all the sons of Noah, and they were all under his power and counsel. And all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. But Nimrod did not go in the ways of the Lord, and he was more wicked than all the men that were before him, from the days of the flood until those days. And he made gods of wood and stone, and he bowed down to them. And he rebelled against the Lord, and taught all his subjects and the people of the earth his wicked ways. And Mardon his son was more wicked than his father.
I'm a god and you're a god. And I'm a god and I'm going to stay a god until you recognize that you're a god. And when you recognize you're a god, I shall go back into principle and will not appear as a personality. You are God. But until I see all of you knowing who you are, I'm going to be very much what I am. God Almighty God.
Its task will be to develop an overall strategy for America in this period when really a new world order can be created. It's a great opportunity. It isn't just a crisis.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order, where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind: peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
System, but in order for it to be a strong system, the system's got to be right. You can't fake it. You can't jump up and knock a bunch of people down and say, see how strong we are? That ain't gonna, you know, that's not gonna do it. It's got to be right. It's got to finesse it. You gotta have one world government. You gotta have a one world court that can be no place in the world that you can get away with.
In the meantime, though, that is probably a long way away.
Well, not as far as you might think.
We have to put everything in one. Everything is one world. Everything is one world now. If it doesn't come to one world now, there will be no planet. There will be no life on the planet.
The irony is not lost there. Manson now talking about life on this planet 40 years after those 8 lives were taken, and he has a new set of followers, believe it or not, who say that his words are not the rantings, the ramblings of a madman. They believe that his cause is the environment now, and believe it or not, there's a new group behind him.
But I want you to be aware that there is information that will show how each of these elements are controlled. Now this next diagram is extremely important to our discussion today. And it will tie in with a lot of things that we say as we go through our discussion. This is the way Satan creates a Gnostic religion. There are 3 components to a Gnostic religion. I discovered this reading in an obscure Gnostic book in an obscure paragraph. And all of a sudden I realized they've just told me how they do it. Remember back in the Garden of Eden, Satan said, this knowledge will save you. That's saving knowledge. That's Gnosticism. Okay? So then the next step is they realized knowledge is power. And they realized that if you say, I have hidden knowledge, people have to come to you for that hidden knowledge. You create an instant power base. So the first element that Satan uses in setting up a Gnostic religion is hidden knowledge. Now the next thing is you can't give away all your hidden knowledge at once, or you've just given away your power base. So you have to dish it out in increments. If you're a Mason, you receive it incrementally as you go through an initiate degree system. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you receive it incrementally by staying in touch with, and this is a direct quote, God's channel of communication. You incrementally receive Watchtower and Awake magazines. Or if you're in some Pentecostal churches that make you dependent upon this prophet who has revelation knowledge that no one else can give you, then that's another example of how this hidden knowledge makes you dependent upon a religious system. Now the next criteria, the next thing that they use in setting up a Gnostic religion is that you can't get the devotion from the common masses that you can from an initiate group. So you set up 2 different religions. You set up one for the broad masses and one for the initiates. And then you establish a cover ruling body, and then at the top, the key men are Satanists. So let's take the Jehovah's Witnesses, for example. There we've got the great crowd who are promised life on earth. And then we've got the anointed, promised heaven, and then their governing body, and then their key men. In 1991, I came out with a reference book, Be Wise as Serpents, which was 800 pages, sort of like a Young's Concordance of the New World Order. And I tried to go through many different groups and show how they had been created and how they were being manipulated and controlled. And for instance, with the Jehovah's Witnesses, here up at the top, we've got a man named Nathir Salih. He was an Iraqi Jew and he loves nice expensive jewelry. And the president of the Watchtower Society, the late one, Freddie Franz, recently died, for many years, for many decades, had been on his deathbed. And he was considered to be the leader of the Watchtower Society. Nobody even knew about Nathir Salih, but
whenever there needed to be a decision by this man on his deathbed who died at 99, Nasir Salih would go into his room and come out with the answer. Now another man that was ties in with this is someone who's on the governing body who's a Rhodes Scholar. In fact, Freddie Franz was offered to be a Rhodes Scholar but turned it down so that he would be in a position to take over the Watchtower Society. Now, if we take this structure with its three components that I've just outlined to you, and we turn it on its side, this pyramid structure on its side, we come up with something that looks like a pie. Now, think about this. Here on the outside, we've got like a Catholic and a Mormon and a Jehovah's Witness. This is the perfect control mechanism. The Catholic out here is fighting the Mormon, is fighting the Jehovah's Witness, is fighting somebody else. None of them ever rebel against the sinner. Very few of them ever realize they're being controlled by the sinner. If they ever do rebel against the sinner, they are stopped by the initiate group, the clergy. For instance, in the Catholic Church, your broad masses would be your laity, and your initiate group would be your clergy, and then your cardinals would be your cover ruling body, and then your key men would be Satanists. Or within your Mormons, you would have your Melchizedek priesthood and your Aaronic priesthood, your Melchizedek priesthood, and then your 70 and whatnot at LDS headquarters, and then your key men there. So some of these of the priesthood that are being a buffer to protect the sinner, some of them are actually going to believe in the religion, and some of them are just going to be in it because that's how they make a living. But at any rate, it's the perfect protection for the sinner. And these people in the center all know each other. They are your Illuminati. And here in this document, Manly Palmer Hall tells us that a secret governing body controls the globe, not the various religious governing bodies that pretend to rule. That's what I was trying to tell you with that diagram with the black circle in the middle of the pie.
A wise person thinks much about death, while the fool thinks only about having a good time now. I discovered that God created people to be upright, but they have each turned to follow their own downward path. None of us can hold back our spirit from departing. None of us has the power to prevent the day of our death. There is no escaping that obligation, that dark battle. And in the face of death, wickedness will certainly not rescue those who practice it.
Mr. Patterson, Philip Everest Dunning, Mr. Chad Harmon, Mr. Dunning. Mr. Dunning, the Articles and Letters of the Brotherhood. Do you swear that having been entrusted with these articles and letters since midnight this night, that you alone read them and did not communicate their content to any person whatsoever?
I so swear.
Having so sworn, are you now prepared to go forward?
I am prepared.
Mr. Dunning, for over 200 years, Brothers of the Bell have been initiated before the spell, and in the same ceremony at sunrise. 22 years ago, Mr. Patterson stood due east in your place, and I became his senior, as Mr. Patterson is now yours. One day, Mr. Patterson will stand due south, and he will induct a Brother of the Bell, and you will become senior. See, in this fashion does the Brotherhood express its continuity. It will continue long after all of us are dead. But that continuity depends upon one thing: obedience. Absolute obedience. If and when you are ever called upon by Mr. Patterson to pay your due bill, you must comply, whatever is asked of you. Well, that bill may come due tomorrow, in 20 years, or never. It will not be a matter of money. It will be an act of fealty, of loyalty to the Brotherhood of the Bell. Now, if you require anything at all, get in touch with your senior, and he will see to it that it's arranged for you. Are you ready for the oath?
I am.
The oath, gentlemen. I, Chad Dunning, do swear in absolute faith that I shall reveal no secret of the Brotherhood of the Bell, that I shall respect my brothers and myself, that I will act as they desire, secure their interests as if they were my own. And I pledge this, my honor, my fortune, and my life.
You know, I still find it incredible that I could get anything I want.
Anything a man could get with money, privilege, and the best connections.
You know, it just occurred to me that we're part of the establishment now.
Not part. The establishment.
Hey, someone's coming out.
So, boys, what have you brought me?
Dabura!
What is he doing here?
The king of the demons!
Which one? Which one is Dabura?
The tall one.
I see. Is he strong?
Of course he's strong. He is the king of the demon world.
Wait a second. What is this demon world?
It is a shadow world that exists on the other side of this one. Like two sides of the same coin. One of you may be the strongest in this world. But in his dark demon world, Dabura is the strongest by far.
Guys, I'm beginning to feel just a little bit outclassed here. I mean, I'll still help you out if you think you need me, but why don't how about I take the little guy?
The little guy. So that's Bobbity?
Yes, it is. And he is the most dangerous of them all. Remember, it is not his size you must concern yourself with. It's his magic.
A wizard seeks out the evil desires in a person's heart. Once discovered, he manipulates them, enhances them, and ultimately uses them to control. This is how Dabura was captured. Once Bobbity infiltrates a person's heart, his influence is complete. All he needs is to find but a trace of evil to bring someone under his power. Only those pure of heart and free of evil desires like us have a chance of fighting him successfully.
Well, that works for most of us.
I saw you at the docks. You're a liar, a thief, and a cheat.
No, that's my brother Miles. I'm the honest one in the family.
Well, that's unfortunate. Because that's what I liked about you. Welcome to the party, Julius. It hurts, doesn't it? Yes, it's an underrated experience, but it happens to be my specialty. And like it or not, you belong to me now.
Hey, bro. Why you do that? It feels kind of right.
Because I need your eyes in the day and your services at night. But first, I'll need my coffee. Come. Come!
Wait, where you going? Hey, man, what's up? You gonna be sucking my neck?
Why would I do that? You're my ghoul now.
Hey, Max, let me ask you something. Why didn't you just bite this when you had the chance?
It doesn't work that way. She has to give herself to me voluntarily. In this case, I know more about her than she knows about herself. One dance with me. One dance. She'll be mine.
Oh, now see, yeah. Now you're talking, player. Now you're talking. Take a dance.
Excuse me.
2 deep more seconds, son.
Preacher Paulie.
Yes, I'm Preacher Paulie, and if you've been misbehaving, Preacher Paulie's here for saving.
Well, I think that I'm beyond saving.
Oh, yes, I just want to catch Preacher before he goes in. It's 6:75.
Preacher Paulie, preacher. I'm Preacher Paulie.
Man, boy. Oh, 1 minute you's you, and the next minute, bam, you change yourself into Al Sharpton? Oh.
Like taking candy from a child. It takes a master vampire to transform oneself into a human, especially to absorb their thoughts. You have such messy minds.
Boss, I got an idea. Go in, change yourself into a partner.
The ones that I go into, they must first be a doorway of evil. I've yet to discover such a thing with this man Justice. And frankly, it's beginning to annoy me.
Me too.
How do we tap into our human spirit? How does the devil get access to it? How do these demons come and start bothering us and oppressing us? Whole lot of ways, and I'm going to name some of them right now. Yeah, and I tried to find the most demonic picture I could so I could find a doorway. This is the doorway into the supernatural. This is the doorway into your human spirit. And here are some things that bring the enemy into that area. This is a family tree. Demon spirits can come into you through generational curses, What your mother did, your father did, great-grandfather did. Somebody may have pledged in a fraternity or sorority or took an oath that was demonic or pledged to a false god or did something or mixed with magic or something. Somebody in your bloodline did something that they shouldn't have done, and that can create a curse in your bloodline, and it'll stay there until it's addressed. That's why everybody in the family gets divorced when they get married. Everybody has a child out of wedlock. Everybody's, every girl can't ever get married. They stay single forever. Something's wrong with everybody. It's something wrong with the family when everybody is going through the same junk. There's something in your family tree or in your bloodline that the enemy sowed in there. Can I keep going? The occult, anytime you mess with the occult, playing light as a feather, the Bloody Mary in the mirror, all of those different games you used to play, or playing with a Ouija board, or going to see a witch doctor, or tarot cards, or getting your fortune told, or reading your horoscope, any of these things. When you do these things, you are tapping into the power of your human spirit, which is supposed to be reserved unto God. You open yourself up, and a demon can enter. Triple X, sex, immorality, anytime, masturbation, porn, same-sex, especially bisexuality and homosexual and lesbian, all these kinds of illicit sex acts, lust, perversion, these things are doorways into your human spirit. And when you begin to enjoy them or love them and can't stop doing them, a demon will enter right into your human spirit and take control of it. Can I keep going? Fear. Anytime you are traumatized, anytime you are scared, anytime something frightens you to death, especially like the death of a loved one, that's a big deal a lot of times. And you're fearful, you're scared, you're afraid. The Bible said God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a what? Sound mind. Why is he saying that? Because when you experience fear, your mind is not sound, and you open yourself up and demons can come in. Especially if you're scared of them. Abuse, any kind of abuse, neglect, physical, verbal, any kind, sexual abuse, spiritual abuse. Any kind of abuse can be an open door for the devil to come in and bring a spirit to reside in you. This is why a lot of people that experience pain and different things, they create a whole alter ego. They create a different personality, multiple personality disorder. But a lot of times, that's not another personality. That's a demon spirit. And then finally, oh boy, becoming one with your mind. Becoming one with your human spirit. Trying to get in there and get the gnosis, get the knowledge. I want to know, so I'm going to surpass the rules of God, and I'm going to go after the true knowledge. I'm going to tap into my human spirit, and I'm going to do some things that's going to bring me information or knowledge. That is an easy way to be filled with demonic
power. In the Hegelian system, the state is all-powerful, so we should ask ourselves, what is the state? Well, the state is the elite. The state is the royal, aristocratic hierarchy who are able to maneuver and live their lives in any way that they choose because they are super wealthy. Now, let's just talk about super wealth and super wealthy people. I can tell you now, after meeting quite a few of them, that they are very, very different to you or me. When I'm talking about super wealth, I am not talking about Puff Daddy who has allegedly 3 Bentleys. I'm talking about super wealth, family wealth, which was in the millions back in the 19th century. Now, when we look at this hierarchy of aristocrats and royal families around the world, we can see that they are the state. They are the people that the robots, I call them robots, the civil servants who run the machinery of the state. It is the civil servants who swear allegiance to this elite. When you join the British Civil Service, You do not swear an oath to serve the British people. You swear an oath to serve the monarch. It's the same when you become a spy. When you join MI5 or MI6 or any of the other DI or MI agencies, and there's many of them run by the British government, you are swearing allegiance to serve the reigning monarch, not the British people.
So this has the energy stored inside?
Yes, it does, sir.
You've done well. We are now one step closer to achieving our goal. It's such a shame that your business with me is finished. I'm afraid I have no more use for you.
Now for our other friend.
Weekly, would you please kill him?
Gladly.
Ah, nice shot.
I can't take this anymore. This is ridiculous. Why are we subjecting ourselves to this? Deborah's toying with him. You know that. Come on. Why should I sit around all day acting like this matters? I could end this in 5 minutes if I wanted to. I'm not here to play games, Kakarot, or to create nice father-son memories. I'm here to win. Stop pretending. Knock off the sentimental rubbish. The strongest one is the one who should do the job. I'm the one who should be fighting, not him.
Huh? Master, please bring us back to the ship immediately. I have made an important discovery.
A discovery, Deborah?
Yes, it's vital to our plans. I think you'll agree.
Very well then, but it better be a good one to interrupt the fight.
It is, Master.
Welcome back. Now then, what's this that you were saying? Did you really make a discovery?
Yes.
Now, about this discovery of yours, why don't you fill me in, please?
I saw that one of the mortals has a terrible rage burning in his heart. He lacks the conviction of the others. He could be made to serve our purposes.
You're kidding me! Now I know what you're thinking. We can revive Boo and defeat them all without even lifting a finger! Brilliant, Deborah!
I'm here to please you, my master.
He mentioned a new recruit. Do you think he was bluffing?
I'm not sure, but it seems unlikely that a fighter of that caliber would just drop into their laps at a time like this.
Yeah, they're definitely up to something. But what? Nah, this whole thing would be over with right now if it wasn't for you. I hope you're proud of yourself. What do you mean? I mean you disgraced us with your pitiful performance. There's no excuse for you fighting the way you did. You have Saiyan blood running through your veins. A warrior like Deborah should be dead.
Hey, look, Gohan didn't know that Deborah was gonna run off. I'm sure he would have wanted one of us to fight him if he knew.
Oh yes, now there's a pleasant excuse. You're as soft as he is, Kakarot. And I'm tired of playing around. I'm going to put an end to this thing once and for all.
Vegeta, what are you doing?
No more weak-hearted excuses, Kakarot. I'm taking control of this operation now. And for starters, I'm going to blow this ship to Kingdom Come.
Don't be a fool! If Boo's revived, this planet's finished! History! All living things will be exterminated! He'll turn the Earth into a dark, lifeless tomb!
Enough! Now you listen to me! What happens to this planet is none of my concern! The strongest will find a way to survive, and the weaklings shall perish!
What kind of person are you?
Yes, 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 yes! I love it, I love it! This is too good to be true!
I take it that you are pleased, Master.
Beautiful, arrogant, selfish piece of work!
Yes.
Oh my, look how uptight he is! All right, what are we waiting for? Let's do it!
Vegeta, hey, what's wrong? Vegeta, what's going on?
Something's attacking me!
Where? We can't see anything!
Inside!
Fight it! Resist!
I can't!
You must! That's it! Resist! Don't let him win, Vegeta! Don't let him do it! That's it! Fight! Fight it!
Supreme Kai, what's happening to him?
Vegeta, no! Don't let him! You've changed! You're not that way anymore! Babidi has no claim over you!
What's Babidi doing? Trying to kill him?
Worse than that, he's trying to take over his mind and enslave him so that he'll do whatever Babidi wishes him to do.
Isn't there any way that we can help him?
He struggles because his heart is impure. He has to choose himself. Don't let him take you, Vegeta. Let go. The past is the past. Don't think of it. Be innocent and clear.
How can you say that? I'm not innocent!
I'm afraid it's too late. Yes, you belong to us now. Now, allow me to restore your power to the way it was before you began trying to resist your dark nature.
Don't let them use you! You're stronger than they are! Gohan! Are you okay? Vegeta! No! Fight it, Vegeta! No, stop! Huh?
It's too late.
I'm amazed, Vegeta. These last 7 years in Otherworld, I've been through the most intense training sessions. I guess this whole time you've been pushing yourself even harder than I have.
That may be true. I pushed myself to the edge of my limits and beyond. But you've been born with a natural talent far beyond my own. No amount of training could have closed the gap between us. I realize that now. It was made painfully obvious to me today as I watched your fight with Babidi's monster. Imagine my shock to see the undeniable proof, to discover that no matter how hard I tried, I would never be able to catch you, a warrior prince forever living in the shadow of a low-level clown. So that's when I secretly made up my mind.
You mean you fool! You deliberately let yourself fall under Babidi's spell!
Yes, I saw the power of Babidi's magic. At the World Martial Arts Tournament, those two henchmen he sent.
When did Spopovich get us strong? It's like he's a different person!
The people who had seen those fighters in the previous tournament couldn't understand how they'd become so powerful. But you and I know, don't we? It was Babidi's magic, and I knew that what his magic had done for those fighters, it could also do for me. I knew that if I allowed myself to fall under his control, the difference in our power would disappear. I'm quite pleased with the results, even if they do come at a price. I'd say the end more than justifies the means.
Vegeta, I don't understand. You've never allowed anyone to help you before in your life. Why start now? Why Babidi?
Because I wanted him to reawaken the evil in my heart. I wanted him to return me to the way I was before! I was the perfect warrior, cold and ruthless. I lived by my strength alone, uninhibited by foolish emotion. That's why I needed Babidi to set me free by releasing the evil in my heart. He has freed me of these petty attachments. And I'd have to say it feels pretty good.
Do you really believe what you're saying?
Doing these songs, you know, you're still on tour.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. You know, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And on this earth, and then in the world we can't see.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
About, you know, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so The
fallen angels taught mankind weapon making and warfare, applying makeup and jewelry, introduced mankind to psychedelic drugs, vampirism, enchantments, and cursings, as well as astrology. It is quite remarkable to see how much of what these watchers taught not only relate to the ancient mystery religions, but are common everyday things of the world we live in today.
The wicked walk on every side, when the vilest men are exalted, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them.
So the devil knows, if I want to indoctrinate a people with corruption, all I have to do is raise up a superstar. Because a fan, when God spoke this to me, this just blew me away. Think about it. A fan is a true follower. Did you know that? If you're a fan of somebody, the stuff they do, you'll defend. Because if he can raise up a superstar, somebody that's famous, people, right or wrong or indifferent, will defend them. They'll just protect them. They'll defend them to the core. A fan.
King Solomon is the single most important figure in the occult teaching. The ancient Goetia is a book of powerful invocations and spells written by King Solomon. These ancient spells and evocations were used to summon spirits who were then psychically tortured and forced to serve King Solomon. The Goetia contains descriptions of 72 demons, some of whom control their own army of lesser demons. King Solomon evoked and imprisoned these spirits in a bronze vessel sealed using magic symbols. King Solomon ruled ancient Israel from the year 970 to 928 BC. Satanists, occultists venerate the memory of King Solomon, who owned a magic ring engraved with a symbol called the Seal of Solomon. This Seal of Solomon is better known as the Star of David. It is this symbol which is encoded into the $1 bill. It is also the flag of Israel.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mark Lefty, and today I'm going to go ahead and talk about Solomon. Solomon, a lot of people know him from, according to the Bible, he was a great king. He was the son of David, King David and Bathsheba. So in this video, I want to go ahead and talk about Solomon, but talk about him from an alchemy perspective and how he was able to get those potentials by going through the emerald tablets of the 7 stages, but beyond that and going to the 8th and 9th stage. So I kind of want to talk about that in conjunction with how many degrees of knowledge he has, and then kind of give you guys an explanation from the alchemy perspective of why he was able to do that. When you're dealing with King Solomon, you must realize that he had different degrees. He had a very high level of degree of knowledge, and that degree of knowledge is 144. And that 144,000 degrees of knowledge gave him access to command nature and be able to do things. But at the same time, you must understand that he wasn't as perfect. So, which is why he had about a lot of wives. He basically, you could say, was submitted to a lot of the worldly things as well. So when you realize that he was able to go through these alchemical process. And through going through this alchemical process between 1 through 7 to 8 to 9, he was able to be more superhuman and have contact and then have his own interdimensional armies, and then obviously was able to command things. But this is the reason why this is important, because this is a process that obviously a lot of humans can have as well if you understand the concept, but really understand it with your heart, not because you want powers, like doing it because you really want to understand or heal nature. So when it comes to beta immortals, they basically know the step of the 8th, where they can take the formulas, but from their perspective, humans, which are too egotistical to actually become alchemists, but that's a totally different story.
Now this jewelry I'm going to show you, except the second 2 pieces, could not be bought in a store until a few years ago. You stop and think about it when you started seeing this stuff. To buy these symbols here, you had to go to an occult store. Of course, that was easy for San Francisco. They've always been a little weird. But you go to the occult stores, but you had to prove that you were an initiated witch of a coven before they would sell this stuff to you, and it was made by their coven silversmith. The first one's called a pinnacle. If you put a circle around it, it's called the pentagram. It's a symbol of witchcraft. At 1 point up, it's a symbol of witchcraft. 2 points up, like it's showing kind of there, it's the symbol of Satanist church, the symbol of the horn god. You might also notice it's also the symbol of the Eastern Star. This is called the hexagram, not the Star of David. The Star of David is a name change on it. David was dead and buried when that star was created by a son that had backslid and went into demonic worship. Solomon would seal his documents of war and his occult documents with that thing. They call it the Crest of Solomon or the hexagram. And that's where the word to hex or to cast an evil spell came from. Witches, when they conjure demons, they call the demons up to talk to them in person. This star must be drawn on the floor for the demon to arrive in, or it won't appear. Now that gives you an idea. It's the most evil sign in the occult world. This symbol in various forms means that you're an initiated witch of witchcraft. And if you'll watch television, well, I'm sure you do. If you watch television, you'll notice that many of the television stars are now wearing this symbol openly. Why not? Christians don't know what it means.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some symbols. I'm going to start out, before we get into the meat of this thing, I'm going to show you some symbols. I'm going to start out showing you symbols. These are occult symbols, and you need to understand what it is that you're seeing when you see it. Now I believe that every Christian has been given a certain amount of discernment. And what we need to do is we need to ask our Heavenly Father to sharpen that discernment so that you get this into your spirit and you get this into your mind so that when you see it, I don't have to tell you what it is. It's like, boom, all of a sudden you see it and you go, okay, that was that. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with symbols, and I'm going to share these with you. Here's the first one. This is the universal symbol of Satanist churches. It's called the symbol of Baphomet. Also the goat of Mendes. And you notice now it's a 5-pointed star, inverted. 2 points up, signifying the break with Christianity. This point down, symbolizing that the center is hell or Satan. And it's a circle within a circle. You notice that there's a goat's head inside this star. Now, how many remember in the Old Testament the scapegoat, when the people of Israel were told to put the sins upon the scapegoat and send it out in the wilderness, and that's what atoned for their sins. Now, when you're inducted into Satanism, they tell you, poor old Lucifer, he was kicked out of heaven by God, and all he did was ask why God had the throne. And so now everything that you, and you do, we have to blame it on somebody, and we blame it on poor old Satan. So he's referred to as the scapegoat. And you notice that there are keys going around the outside of that circle. This is actually a writing, and it's called Enochian. Enochian keys. It's older than Sanskrit, and it actually spells out a word. And that word is Leviathan, which is the creature from the abyss, I believe in the book of Job. So this is the satanic pentagram. When you see that, you know exactly what that is, that's the symbol of United Satanist churches. Here's the next one. This is the universal symbol of witchcraft. It's called a pentagram. The reason it's called a pentagram is it's a five-pointed star, and if you were to intersect those lines, in other words, if you were to draw those lines where they would intersect with each other, that would form the pentagram. I drew it like this so you could actually see the makeup of the star itself. Witches wear these or draw these on the floor and then stand inside of them and summon up the spirits and charge the atmosphere on the outside. And they believe that by lighting candles on each point of that star, standing inside of this, and charging the atmosphere, as long as they're inside that circle, they are protected. How many know that demons don't need you to draw something on the floor if they want to really get to you? Okay? This is another way that Satan keeps them in bondage by making them think that they are the ones that are in control. Not the witches themselves, but that's what Satan wants them to make them think. That's how he keeps them going. Here's the next one. This is a hexagram, exactly as it sounds. This symbol is used in black magic. It comes from the Jewish Kabbalah, Jewish magic. It is a symbol of dark summoning. What I mean by that is that if you want to put a hex on somebody, you want to cause a spirit to come forth, this is the symbol that's used. It's called a hexagram. Now, it is not, never has been, never will be the Star of David. Show me in Scripture anywhere where David was instructed to come up with a symbol of a star representing him or the city or the country of Israel. It's not there. The other thing is that Solomon was a wise king, but he was also a dabbler. Why do I say that? Because Solomon had many wives, and those wives came from different cultures, and those different cultures worshiped different gods. And guess what they brought to the marriage with them? Witchcraft. They brought those gods with them. Why do I say that? I don't. God does. Go to 1 Kings, chapter 11. When Solomon had the temple built, he used people from a land called Tyre. Tyre worshipped a god called Baal. This is the symbol of Baal, not the stars of David. This is the seal of Solomon. It comes from the Jewish Kabbalah. And in that time, that's Jewish magic. You see, not all Jews worship the same God. Does that mean that the people of Israel, because they've taken that symbol for the symbol of their country, does that mean that they're evil? No. They're deceived. It's very subtle. And Satan, we all know that Satan can deceive people very, very well.
The hexagram, okay? That's the six-pointed star, that they use for Israel, the flag, and some people call it the Star of David. That is the most demonic symbol that we have right now. It's worse than a five-point pentagram because it's actually male and female as a triangle intertwined together, and it is hexagram. I'm going to talk about it more extensively in part 7 because it's actually, the image of it is actually on the planet Saturn. That's where they get it from. Because if you think about it and you think about star, when you draw a star, why do we draw a star the way we draw a star? A star would just be a bright light. A star doesn't look like what we draw. That came from somewhere, okay? So when we draw stars, we're actually drawing hexes and pentagrams, okay? That was intentional. Now we know the devil is into all kinds of crazy symbols. When we're talking about the hexagram, did you know that the Latin word is sexagram? And it's the same word, sexus, where we get our word sex. Sex isn't in the Bible either. The word sex is not in the Bible. But where we get the word sex, sex is a derivative of the word sexus, and this was a sexogram or hexagram. What is this? Oh, this is the symbol that's on the flag, the Israel flag. You want to know what the mark of the beast is? All you got to do is look at Saturn. On Saturn, there is actually this image right here on the surface of Saturn. The reason they worship Saturn, you don't think they knew how to see Saturn and they had all that Nephilim activity? Oh, they saw Saturn. And on Saturn, there is a polygon with a hexagram right in the middle of it. This is where this symbol came from. It did not come in the 1940s when Israel was made a state. No, this came out of the books of Solomon. This is the seal of Solomon. It is not the Star of David. No, it's not. And here it is, 6 sides. It's 6 points, 6 triangles, and it's a six-sided polygon, which is 666. I'll raise you one. It's also the 6th planet from the sun, Saturn, 6th day of the week, Saturn day. Did you know that's where it came from? Yeah, they didn't name Saturn after the Sabbath. Why would pagans do that? No, they named Saturday after Saturn, Saturn day. And then the 6th day, man was created. It's the number of man, 6. That's 666. Oh, I wish I could preach in here. Y'all looking at me like I don't know what I'm talking about. This is why this symbol is a symbol of witchcraft. It is a hexagram or sexogram. When a witch comes up to you, she says, I'm going to put a what on you? A hex. She's going to use this symbol. This is not a Christian symbol. Look at somebody say, it's not a Christian symbol. Don't you wear this around your neck. You don't know where this came from. Well, it's Israel. No, you know who gave it to Israel? Satanists. That's who gave Israel the money to become Israel, into their statehood. Did you know that? Y'all didn't know that? The Rothschilds did that. And they are Luciferian. They financed it. Oh, I can't get amen. I wish some folks would wake up in this place.
Okay, with this split show, we are now going to talk about secret societies with James Wasserman, the Temple of Solomon. Get ready for this one. You'll love it on Coast to Coast AM. James, how are you?
Good morning, George. I'm excellent. How are you?
Good. It's good to have you with us. Fascinating subject. Fascinating.
Thank you so much.
How did you get interested in it?
Well, the Temple of Solomon is essentially the root of everything that has to do with secret societies and Western occultism. It is the archetypal symbol of the interaction between, man and God, and it's the presence of God on earth, and that is really the goal of the secret society. In other words, how to bring the spiritual and the divine within our own hearts and minds right here on earth.
James, did the temple have any mystical properties to it?
Well, absolutely, George. The most important being that it held the Ark of the Covenant, and that was the home of the 2 tablets of the law that had been dictated to Moses, inscribed by God on Mount Sinai, and was the talismanic treasure of the Jewish people, and the symbol of the law of God and the interaction with God and his people.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the structure of it. Do we know how it was built physically?
Well, it was built with cedars, cedar wood from Lebanon, stones that had been quarried nearby, and actually cut and shaped before they were brought up to Mount Moriah itself, because there was not supposed to be any sound or chipping away on the temple site itself. So the stones were brought there, fitted into place, and then covered with wood on the inside, and the wood was then overlaid with gold. It was apparently a really magnificent structure, rather small in its own way, but it was, it must have just been magnificent.
What happened to it?
It was destroyed in about 585 by the Babylonians. It had lasted about 400 years. The Bible explains that the Jews had walked away from the teachings of the Lord and brought enough sin on themselves that they were conquered by the invaders, and they were taken into captivity, brought to Babylon, and then about 70 years later, the Persians conquered the Babylonians.
Okay, now, when you had mentioned the Ark of the Covenant, in that it was stored there.
Yeah, the Ark of the Covenant was stored within the Holy of Holies, within the sacred part of the Temple of Solomon.
Where did it go? We've heard all kinds of things, that it's hidden in a church in Ethiopia. Who knows? But what's your take?
According to some of the apocryphal writings, it was hidden by Jeremiah, who is a prophet at the time of the destruction of the temple, and hidden in the mountain where Moses actually died and was buried, Mount Nebo.
All right, how does this temple tie itself into secret societies?
Well, the idea is that it was a center of wisdom. What is it that the temple really represents? It represents a plan communicated by God, a kind of higher wisdom available to human beings, not something that's, reserved for heaven or the afterlife, but something that, a person could walk into, sit down in, and literally commune with the Lord. That is what I think is the essence of the mystical secret society. It's the idea that there are techniques available to us as human beings that allow us to enter into divine consciousness, and the temple is the symbol of that.
Let's talk about secret societies. Give us a definition, your thoughts on that.
Well, secret societies are essentially, you could say that they started in the most primitive prehistoric societies on Earth, when boys were brought into puberty and girls the same, and the men taught the boys how to be men, and the women taught the girls how to be women. Secret societies convey a tradition. They convey a teaching that makes people better people, or more knowledgeable people, and they're designed to lead people through a series of challenges into a higher state of consciousness.
Greetings. I'm happy to be here and to share with you some of the ancient wisdom of King Solomon, the wisest man of all. King Solomon left us 44 seals, seals in which the divine names are engraved, names of angels, verses of the Bible, and sacred geometry. Those 44 seals consist some of the wisest idea that King Solomon had. We are aware that we are more than what we think we are, and it does assist us to erase karma, to overcome obstacles, and to penetrate to our journey in a much easier way. We are able to be part of the creation, of the new creation, while using the seals with its vibration to assist us in our journey. Now it's the time in which we can unite all human beings, wherever we are, in consciousness journey together. King Solomon Wisdom wishes to bless you on your journey. We wish for each one of you to have fulfillment of your life purpose as individuals, and to all of us as a big universe.